Well, Shawn, enjoy the summer-like temperatures while you can.
Yep, you know what? We're going to end summer right on schedule. We're going to get to 70s tomorrow. We're still going to get into the 70s Saturday, but it is going to start to feel more fall-like as we take you into next week. Our highs are going to drop back into the lower 70s, which is where they're supposed to be this time of year. We're not supposed to have this. 80 degrees, Mankato, 77 in New Ulm, 80 in Redwood Falls. We're at 77 in Fairmont, 74 in Estherville. A few high clouds out there coming in ahead of this big system that's going to be moving in. Southeast wind at 7. Our dew point's at 53. Just a beautiful afternoon. It's going to be a really nice evening, too. So if you're looking to get outdoors, you want to do some stuff out there, get some walks in, take the dog out before the rain kicks in for the weekend, tonight would be a perfect opportunity. A few clouds. Stuff is now starting to move in from the west. The system's actually just now developing in the Rocky Mountains, moving into the western Dakotas. That's what we have here with some of those showers and thunderstorms that are moving through. So, heaviest rain Friday night, Saturday night, and then it's going to start to kind of scatter out a bit on Sunday. We're looking at a widespread quarter to half, but I think more places are going to get to that half and above. And there actually could be quite a few spots that get up to an inch, maybe 2 by the time this thing is all over with not much severe weather, but there could be a few isolated strong to severe storms southwestern Minnesota on Saturday. So that's something we'll keep an eye on as well. Rain amounts, you can see right through here. Best, we're looking generally in that light blue. That's about the inch range. More to the west, lesser amounts to the east. But again, not everyone's going to get up to that inch, but most places should get a half inch of rain or more by the time this is all over and done with. Here we are tomorrow at noon. A few clouds, a few little blips of rain, and then we're going to start to see things pick up tomorrow, especially in the evening. You can kind of see here the showers and thunder showers that develop. Move in during the night. Here we are at midnight as we take you through 3 a.m. Saturday into noon Saturday. By Saturday afternoon, we're going to see some of that heavier rain move in, and you can kind of see here through Saturday, and then more so even into Sunday, those showers and some thunder showers will continue. So those rain amounts could be fairly heavy at times, with some places getting up to that inch or more. You can kind of see what's going on here severe weather-wise. We are at 2 out of 5 severe storms, mainly hail and wind possible with this storm. As they move through on Saturday, south and west of Mankato, Marshall, into southwestern Minnesota, northwestern and western Iowa. So that's also something we will be keeping a close eye on into the weekend. Tonight, 57. We may catch a little bit of fog late tonight. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, some thunderstorms late, especially at night. 75 as we roll into the weekend. Rain and thunderstorms Saturday, going to be pretty steady. Maybe a few breaks in the morning. Rain Saturday night. We'll see some rain into Sunday. By Monday, 70, Tuesday, 70, we're going to be cooler and fall-like as we take you through most of next week.
This 10-day weather forecast is brought to you by Bomgars. What you need, when you need it.